today, the suspect in the Berlin Christmas market attack earlier this week, Anis Amri, dead, following a shootout with police in Italy this morning. Joining me right now is former New York City Mayor Rudy Giuliani to talk more about it. Mr. Mayor, it's good to see you.
Good to see you.
Thank you so much for joining us. It's been an active morning, of course.
Oh, my goodness.
We know that this suspect was shot and killed in Italy. So my question is, how did he get so easily from Berlin to Italy?
Well, that's the problem with, the EU, and probably one of the reasons for Brexit, right? If you get into Greece, if you get into any place in Europe, if you get into Germany, you're in France, you're in Italy, there is no border check, no further border check. So you can get in at the point of least resistance, the point of least examination, the point of least vetting or no vetting at all. And of course, we have added on to that the fact that Angela Merkel let in hundreds of thousands of refugees, even though Baghdadi had announced that he was going to place terrorists among the refugees. The thing about the Syrian refugees that people don't mention enough is ISIS has told us that they will use that group in order to plant terrorist agents in the West, in Western Europe and in the United States.
So that they can infiltrate.
Yeah, so that's why it's foolish to allow them in. And Donald Trump has, for over a year, been saying we should have a no-fly zone in Syria, and they should be kept in Syria. They shouldn't be allowed to come in.
What about the idea, though, that if you have a safe zone right outside of Syria, that also will be under attack? I mean, these terrorists are driving people from their homes.
Well, that's what we have an Air Force for, to protect it. And not only an Air Force, but the best one in the world. And I think Donald Trump made that point yesterday when Putin did his little tweeting about nuclear weapons, that if he wants a military arms race, it's going to take him about 4 times his GDP to match, our GDP. We're a much bigger country. We're a much richer country. We're technologically much further ahead of them. He doesn't want that race. And but Donald Trump shouldn't back down from it. I mean, he has promised us 550,000 more troops, up to 550,000 troops, 350 ships, which will get us into a 2-ocean navy again so we can patrol the South China Sea. I think you're going to see a military buildup somewhat like you saw under Reagan. And I've always found the best way to avoid war is to be so darn strong, nobody wants to go to war with you. What is it called? Peace through strength, right?
Yeah, and also make people afraid and that they don't know your plans.
Yes, I doubt that the Ayatollah ever had fear of the present American president. Yeah. I think maybe he will be thinking twice about Donald Trump.
Well, they certainly were still chanting death to America, even as we were signing the bottom line on the Iran deal. Let me ask you this, though, because President Obama is doing everything he can to put things in place that cannot be overturned by Donald Trump. The president is putting the final touches on his presidency by making it more difficult for the president-elect, Donald Trump, to establish a Muslim registry. He says he's ending the tracking program. That tracking program was created after 9/11, we know, and it required men from high-risk countries for extremism to register and submit to questioning. So what are the national security concerns implicated by ending this program? What's your reaction to what the president is doing?
Well, my reaction is that Donald Trump will do exactly what he says he's going to do, which is basically do away with all of President Obama's illegal actions, where he went beyond what he really is allowed to do, where he went and did things that he knew Congress wouldn't support. In that particular case, all the president has to do is change it, reverse it. Anything Barack Obama did by executive fiat, Donald Trump can change. Now, some of them may take time if they've already become regulations, because you have to go through that crazy whole long regulatory process. But it still can be undone. And those things that haven't finished the process can be undone pretty quickly.
For example, like Guantanamo Bay. He's trying to get as many people out of Gitmo as he can before the end of his presidency.
Well, I think, obviously, you can't get them back, but we could start using Gitmo again. And I think we can start saying, even for domestic terrorist attacks that are connected to ISIS, that are done as part of jihad, these are acts of war, not criminal actions. They shouldn't be tried in the federal criminal courts. They should be tried in military courts. These people are at war against us. France realizes this. Germany realizes this. Hopefully they're going to start reacting to it. And Donald Trump realizes this. Unfortunately, we haven't realized it for 8 years. They've been at war with us. We haven't been at war with them. When somebody's at war with you and you're not at war back with them, you get the situation you have now. We haven't had more terrorist attacks in a one-year period than before or after September 11th that I can remember.
You're right. Big shout out to law enforcement for making sure.
And if you take a look what happened with the murder rates this year, up in a lot of major cities, you see that Donald Trump is going to be walking into a situation where he's going to have to make a quick turn toward a much safer America from terrorism and, in some cases, domestic crime.
But you do